If the SNP wins a majority of seats at Holyrood next week, will you take that as a mandate to demand a further independence referendum?
Yes, we will. And we'll do so based upon the fact that in 2011, the Scottish National Party broke the electoral system here in Scotland by winning a majority, and we were therefore able to successfully negotiate an independence referendum with the then Conservative UK government. History is on our side in that regard, so if next Thursday we break the electoral system in Scotland once again, we secure that majority that not only delivers us the opportunity of a fresh start with independence, but ensures that we have the stable, strong leadership of John Swinney in this very chaotic world, then I would expect people of Scotland to be given a say over their own future, as is right in any democratic society.
Well, let's go with your supposition. What are you going to do when Westminster rejects your request for a second referendum?
They won't.
I think they are pretty clear already that they will. This government has been unequivocal in saying that it does not intend to accede to a second independence referendum. So what will you do when they say no?
Sorry, sorry, Trevor. You're telling me that Keir Starmer saying no means something. Keir Starmer's not going to be in office come the end of next week, or maybe he might survive for a few weeks after, but there's going to be a constitutional shock on these Isles next Thursday when the Scottish National Party hopefully win in Scotland, Plaid Cymru hopefully win in Wales as well. And the Westminster establishment, I'm afraid, aren't quite ready or aware of what is about to happen, because they cannot continue to deny that democracy exists on these Isles for the Scottish people and indeed potentially for the Welsh people as well. But if the argument that's being posited to me is Keir Starmer says no, Keir Starmer's not going to be there, but secondly, we know fine well that Keir Starmer loves a U-turn if he does somehow manage to stay in office.
All right, OK. It is entirely plausible, if we follow your logic, that, and as John Swinney said to us when we interviewed him in Edinburgh a few weeks back, that by next Sunday there will be separatist administrations in Belfast, Cardiff and Edinburgh. Would you be supporting a border poll in the island of Ireland?
I'm interested in Scotland. I'm interested in making sure that we can deal with the cost of living crisis by capping bus fares at £2, by growing the economy and making sure that childcare is wrapped around from 9 months until primary school, by giving aspiration to our young people and giving them £10,000 towards a deposit, making sure that John Swinney remains our First Minister, showing that strong leadership we require. What happens in Ireland is for the people of Ireland, Trevor. I
do get the manifesto point, but should you not be straight with the people of Scotland and say that you will do everything you can to break up the United Kingdom, which including separating Northern Ireland and Wales if they want it, at a time of international conflict and economic difficulty, as you've just been saying? That's your aim.
Well, what happens in Ireland is for the people of Ireland to decide. What happens in Wales is for the people of Wales to decide. I, of course, have a good friendship with Irene and Plaid Cymru, and I hope they do incredibly well. But when you talk about global instability, does that not therefore mean that what we should be doing is seeking to have as close a relationship as we possibly can with our friends and partners on the European continent? As a Scottish nationalist, I believe in joining the European Union, of making sure that we're working right across all manner of policy areas with our friends in Europe to counter the threat posed by Putin and indeed posed by the very uncertain world that's been created by Donald Trump.
Why not focus on the great union you've already got with a bigger set of countries, and it's called the United Kingdom, and make that work?
It's not for me to make the United Kingdom work, Trevor, and I may say
big
so.
I think it's broken. You're a big part of the country.
I think it's. I think it's broken beyond repair, and I hate to break that to you. And when we're talking about defence, you know, as Scottish nationalists, we always get attacked on this point, but the last time I checked, the UK wasn't even able to send a warship out to the Middle East, and I think it was HMS Dragon itself that went out for a couple of days, maybe to Cyprus, and then had to go back into dry docks. When it comes to defending Scotland, maybe it's about time that Scotland took its defence into its own hands, just as we should with our huge energy wealth, to make sure that we can transform the lives of the people who work here. Because Scotland is energy rich but fuel poor as a result of being in the UK, and we should be able to transform our society and people's lives, and not have to rely on broken Brexit Britain, which is going to potentially have Nigel Farage in charge. Come on, Trevor.
Just quickly, that's an interesting point. So, any extra money that the SNP has or thinks that the UK has should be spent on defence?
Pardon, sorry, I don't understand your question.
Well,
sorry.
What you've just been saying is that that your problem, part of your problem with Westminster, is that we are Westminster's pretty useless at sending ships to conflict zones and so on, because we're broken and all of that. So you'd like to spend more money on defence?
I would like to make sure that we're able to defend the people of Scotland as well as we possibly can. That means being a part of NATO, but that means making sure that we can protect our assets in Scotland's North Sea and in the High North, by the way, which is crucially important because of what Donald Trump was doing. Scotland has a very positive future in front of it, but it can only achieve that by voting for the SNP, Trevor.
Well, if you're voting for the SNP, by the way, next week, and if I may put this very briefly to you, you're voting for an administration that saw a biologically male prisoner who arrested and charged for assaulting a woman in the women's wing of a Scottish prison, put there by your administration, especially in the context of the Isla Bryson case, where a double rapist was located in a women's prison. So you're asking people to vote for biological male to be put in women's prisons next Thursday. That's okay?
Trevor, I believe, as the First Minister quite rightly outlined, that the Supreme Court judgment is not one that we nobody should nor could disagree with. But when people are voting for the SNP, I'm afraid that they're voting for much more than that. They're voting for free higher education. They're voting for free prescriptions.
We're voting for what we saw last week and what we saw with Isla Bryson.
No. What they're voting for, I've just been clear, Trevor, that I agree with the outcome of the Supreme Court case. What I'm saying to you is that people in Scotland get to vote for much more than that. They get to vote for no university tuitions, no prescriptions. They get to vote for £2 free bus travel. They get to vote for a whole manner of things which improve their lives in a cost of living crisis. In contrast to the broken Brexit Britain that you and so many others appear to love.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but we do have to move on. But thank you so much for your time this morning, Stephen Flynn.
Thank you, Trevor.